Welcome to our review on human defences. So in order for a pathogen to actually make us ill, the first thing they actually have to do is get inside our body. And to try to stop this, then our bodies have developed a range of non-specific defence mechanisms. And they're non-specific because they just work for everything in the same way. In the table on the screen, you can see 5 different non-specific defence mechanisms that we've got in our body to prevent these pathogens from gaining entry. So the first one is your skin, and it acts as a physical barrier. So we've got all these dry, dead cells making it really hard for the microbes to get inside. In addition to that, we've got sweat glands that produce oils, which actually are antimicrobial in their nature, so they kill the microorganisms. The second one is stomach acid, which is going to help prevent pathogens that are on our food and drink from actually colonising. The third are in our airways. So what we've got are cilia, which are teeny tiny little hairs that do a little wavy motion, and mucus, which is going to trap the microorganisms. So once the mucus has trapped the microorganisms, the cilia waft it up towards the top of the throat, where it can be swallowed and then destroyed by the stomach acid. Fourth one are nasal hairs, and they just trap the dust and the microorganisms before they get deeper into the respiratory system. And finally, you've got your tears, which actually contain a substance called lysozymes, which are there to destroy bacteria. If for some reason then our initial line of defence has failed and those pathogens have made their way inside our body, then we have our second line of defence, which is your immune system. And what we actually have there is the key part of the immune system are the white blood cells. And the white blood cells actually have 3 different techniques that they can use to deal with these pathogens. So the first one is a process called phagocytosis. The second one is the production of antitoxins. And the third is the production of antibodies. If we think about phagocytosis first of all, then this is the process where the white blood cells are going to engulf and then digest the pathogen. So you can see in the diagram at the bottom there, it literally moves around and swallows up the pathogen, and then enzymes inside it are going to break it down and digest it into harmless molecules. Their second technique is producing an antitoxin. And these antitoxins then counteract any of the toxins that the pathogen has made to make you ill. And the diagram on the right just shows you how this happens in a wonderful little diagram I drew for you. So you can see the little red triangles there are toxin molecules, and the yellow shapes are the antitoxin. So they lock together and then it inactivates those toxins. Our third technique then is when the white blood cells are producing antibodies. An antibody is quite simply a protein that's produced by our white blood cell that's capable of binding to antigens on the surface of the pathogen. And the reason that they can do this is that they've got this complementary shape. Once those antibodies have bound to the antigen, then it acts as this big kind of signal, if you like, to the white blood cells, so that they can then be found and destroyed by the white blood cell. One thing we should remember about our antibodies is that when they're produced, they are specific to that one type of antigen. So as we said, their shape is complementary, which means they won't fit a different antigen. So what we find is that this has a real bonus for us, because if we then become infected with the same pathogen again, our body is able to respond rapidly to produce those antibodies to kill the pathogen and potentially eliminate it before you even show your first symptom. And when that happens, what we say is that you are immune to the pathogen. Hopefully at the end of this video you can now explain the ways that the body can defend itself against pathogens gaining entry using these non-specific defence systems, and you can also explain how the immune system and the white blood cells help defend the body against the pathogen infections.